everyone. I'm Helen Grace Espirito, your host for today. We are the Group G and we were going to present to you our presentation through debate from the topics of agrarian reform, constitution, and taxation. Let's start with agrarian reform. The issue was the land distribution to the farmers. Brief introduction about agrarian reform will be given by Olin Lin Coino, the cons by Leo Angelo Garita, and the pros by Corinne Alapre.
Agrarian reform and conflicts in the rural areas of the Philippines are closely intertwined. The weak government implementation of the comprehensive agrarian reform program, inherent loopholes in the law, strong landowner resistance, weak farmers organizations, and the continuing espousal by the New People's Army of its own agrarian revolution combined to make the government's agrarian reform program only partially successful in breaking up land monopolies. This is why poverty is still pronounced in many rural areas. The rise of an agrarian reform movement has significantly contributed to the partial success of the government's agrarian reform program. But the government has not been able to tap the full potential of this movement to push for faster and more meaningful agrarian reform.
The term land reform refers to the process of redistributing land ownership or rights in order to assist small farmers and agricultural laborers. According to Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, the government has distributed more than 4.9 million hectares of land since 1988, helping around 2.8 million landless farmers. These include increased agricultural income and yield, improved land tenure, enhanced access to markets and credit, and a decrease in the prevalence of poverty.
The Philippine government has lately given individual titling a second push in an effort to accelerate transnation in rural regions. Nevertheless, many farmers who receive properties as part of the country agricultural reform program have been waiting for individual titles for decades.
Individual titling has recently been given a second push by the Philippine government in an effort to speed up change in rural areas. By using new technologies and digital platforms, streamlining regulatory processes, and improved consultations with beneficiaries, the SPLIT project, implemented by the Department of Agrarian Reform, will assist the government's ongoing efforts to implement parcelization and individual titling.
He stated that the government has allocated more than 4.9 million hectares of land since 1988, aiding more than 2.8 million landless farmers according to the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, or CARP. However, not all of the 2.8 million farmers who get government supports receive a fair share.
Okay, let's move on to constitution. The issue was, can you practice a law without a degree? Brief introduction will be given by Sherry Joy Harlego, pros by Annabelle Isula, and cons by Jana May Bessa.
The Constitution is the supreme law. This means the Constitution is the highest law of the land. The Constitution is primarily a set of rules and principles specifying how a country should be governed, how power is distributed and controlled, and what rights citizens possess. A constitution provides the basis for governance in a country, which is essential to make sure that everyone's interests and needs are addressed. It determines how laws are made and details the process by which the government rules.
You don't need a degree to practice law as a legal executive, although there are restrictions on the kind of work legal executive can do. There are real lawyers practicing real law. They can even appear in court, although extra qualifications are required to appear in the higher courts.
No, because there is an unprofessional and non-standard education system may also cause wastage of time and money. There is plenty of misinformation available on various social media platforms. It does not follow a proper schedule or a time span.
Yes, in order to enable the people to participate meaningfully in the exercise of making a new constitution, it is necessary to educate and sensitize them through seminars, workshops, and public discussions so that they can contribute their views from a point of knowledge rather than ignorance.
There is an absence of discipline and attitude amongst the learners. Results are highly unpredictable. No regular examinations are conducted to evaluate the skill development. The high possibility of fake certification through different institutions.
Last but not the least, the taxation, and the issue was the unpaid taxes of ABS-CBN. Brief introduction will be given by Nirvani Domdomaya and Louis Dignos. Pros by Marialyn Helasio and cons by Christian Berweta and Joy-Ann Decudel.
Taxation is a term for when a taxing authority, usually a government, levies or imposes a financial obligation on its citizens or residents. The primary purpose of taxation on the part of the government is to provide funds or properties with which to promote the general welfare and the protection of its citizens and to enable it to finance its multifarious activities. When a taxing body, usually a government, levies or imposes a financial responsibility to its citizens or residents.
Also, they have two basic types of taxes in the Philippines are local taxes and national taxes. Local taxes include the taxes, fees, and other changes that may be levied by the local government units, province, municipalities, cities, and barangay to individual and juridical person, corporation, and partnership in the Philippines. The Local Republic Act 7160 and otherwise known to the Local Government Code of 1991 amended humanitarian outlist of local taxes in the Philippines.
ABS-CBN has no outstanding tax liability with the BIR. In fact, the BIR issued a tax clearance certificate to ABS-CBN in 2019.
In July 31, 2019, resolution by the First Division, the CTA said that ABS-CBN unit will pay a BIR compromise amount of 16.1 million.
ABS-CBN violated the 1987 Constitution because it has been in the airwaves longer than 50 years, despite the provision in the Basic Law that says Congress can grant franchise for 50 years only.
So we remain grateful for the opportunity to make a meaningful contribution to the nation, whether through the service we offer to the people by paying our taxes to the government.
November 2018, the BIR accepted the offer of ABS-CBN Production to pay a compromise amount of 3 million. Judicial record shows that since 2018, the ABS-CBN have a compromise agreement with BIR.
ABS-CBN stopped its broadcast operations on May 5, 2020, or a day after the expiration of its 25-year legislative franchise. Duterte said he would block ABS-CBN from getting a license to operate from the National Telecommunication, or what we call NTC, unless the network can settle its tax obligation to the government.